Hold on tight because what you are about to hear is not gossip. This is not rumors from celebrity magazines. This is Buckingham Palace itself, the very center of the royal family, finally breaking its silence after years of staying quiet. For a very long time, people had questions about Meghan and Harry's children, Archie and Lilibet. Were they truly royal heirs? Why did the palace never say anything? Why did these children never appear in public the same way William and Kate's children did? Rumors were everywhere. Questions kept growing. But the palace never answered until now. Sources who are very close to the palace have confirmed that the official papers have already been prepared. These are not temporary warnings or early notices. These are final legal orders that will permanently change the royal status of Archie and Lilibet. The message is harsh but simple. Their right to call themselves royals is gone. This is not a family fight. It is not about who likes who. It is about royal rules. About the oldest rulebook the monarchy has ever followed. And to understand why the crown made this decision, we need to go back more than 100 years to a king who wrote those rules into law. Don't forget to subscribe to Royal Report Daily for more exclusive coverage like this. The year was 1917. Europe was in the middle of a terrible war. The royal family was under huge pressure to protect its bloodline from confusion, outside dangers, and political threats. King George V stood up and created an official declaration known as the Letters Patent. These were not emotional words. They were not passionate speeches. They were dry, exact lines of law. But inside those lines were rules that would control the monarchy for more than 100 years. The Letters Patent clearly explained exactly who had the right to call themselves a prince or princess. The conditions were strict and very clear. First, the child had to come from a real and official royal bloodline. Second, the child's birth had to be officially recognized and recorded by the crown itself. Third, the child had to be formally connected to the Church of England. No shortcuts, no exceptions. For many generations, these rules kept the monarchy safe. They made sure that royal titles were not just given away without reason. They kept the bloodline clean and the royal order secure. And here is exactly where the problem starts. When the crown looked at Archie and Lilibet, it found two children who, through absolutely no fault of their own, did not meet every single requirement. Their births, their official records, and even their connection to the church had gaps that simply could not be ignored. Which is why, from the very moment they were born, a quiet countdown had already started. The royal system was silently waiting for the day it would finally take action. Stay tuned to Royal Report Daily. We bring you the truth. That day began in 2019 with the birth of baby Archie. At first, everything seemed to follow the expected plan. Happy announcements, smiling faces in public, a healthy new baby welcomed into the world. But then something very strange happened. Something hidden deep inside the official paperwork. On Archie's birth certificate, Meghan was listed by her full legal name, Rachel Meghan Markle. That was completely normal and correct. But then suddenly, with no public explanation at all, the document was changed. Her name was removed and replaced with her royal title, Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. Who does that? Birth certificates are not social media posts. They are legal records permanently locked into history. Yet here was one being quietly rewritten, as if it were just a press announcement. Meghan claimed the palace forced the change without even telling her. Palace staff denied it strongly. Both sides pointed fingers at each other. Neither one backed down. And in that conflict, a very dangerous question was born. Was this change about appearances? Or was it about deliberately placing Archie inside the royal legal record in a certain way? Because one thing became completely clear. This child's entry into history was no longer clean or simple. It was messy, disputed, and surrounded by growing doubt. And once doubt enters an official legal record, the ground beneath it starts to shake. Remember to subscribe to Royal Report Daily for updates like this one. By the time Meghan and Harry welcomed their second child in 2021, the palace had already learned something very powerful. Saying nothing was louder than any words. When Lilibet Diana was born, the announcement did not come from Buckingham Palace. It did not arrive with royal ceremony, proud attending doctors, or carefully prepared official photographs of the new baby for the royal archives. Instead, it came from across the ocean. A cheerful, well-produced press release sent out from sunny California. For hundreds of years, royal births were much more than private family moments. They were events written into the history books, carefully documented, officially witnessed, and precisely recorded. The baby was never simply a child. They were a living symbol of the monarchy continuing forward. Every single detail was saved, from the hospital announcement to the official signatures of the royal doctors who were present. But with Lilibet, there was nothing. No royal presence, no official stamp, no acknowledgement at all from the palace. It was as though the monarchy had quietly turned away. For those watching carefully, it felt completely unlike anything seen before, like a curtain slowly closing, sending a clear signal that this baby's birth, though lovingly celebrated in California, was not being claimed by the crown. Royal Report Daily, bringing you the stories others will not tell. If the birth raised eyebrows, what happened next raised serious concerns. A few months later, Meghan proudly announced that Lilibet had been baptized in California. She spoke with warmth about the ceremony, the photos, and the deep happiness of the moment. But behind palace walls, quiet concerns immediately began. Because while Meghan's team considered the baptism completely official and meaningful, the Church of England did not agree. And in the world of the monarchy, that difference matters far more than most people understand. A royal christening is not simply about pouring holy water and taking family photos. It is about connection. It ties the child permanently to the church, to the crown, and to centuries of unbroken royal tradition. It is an official seal, one that formally writes the baby into the record as a part of Britain's royal history. But palace sources claimed that Lilibet's baptism was never formally registered with the Church of England, which meant that in the eyes of royal rules, it was not valid. It was a ceremony without official recognition. And so instead of making her place in the royal family stronger, it made it weaker. Instead of locking in her bond with the institution, it broke it. The palace reportedly saw the California christening not as a sacred family moment, but as a violation of royal protocol, a ceremony that in royal law simply did not count. This left Lilibet in a very dangerous position, celebrated by her parents, but completely unrecognized by the system she was born into. Subscribe to Royal Report Daily and stay informed. For Meghan, these problems were never just about paperwork or church records. They hit right at the very heart of who she was. From the moment she entered the royal world, her entire public image was built on one foundation. She was not just Meghan Markle anymore. She was Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, a royal mother. And her children were not simply kids. They were heirs. Heirs to centuries of history. That identity powered everything. The Netflix specials, the Spotify deals, the memoir, the carefully managed public image, even her lifestyle brand American Riviera Orchard. She was not just selling jam jars and garden photos. She was selling a life that had been touched by royalty. But that special value only worked if her children carried the royal connection. Without it, the entire foundation falls apart. No royal heirs means no royal mother. Just a Hollywood couple desperately trying to hold on to a crown that no longer wanted them. And behind the soft portraits, the polished branding, and the carefully controlled public persona, Meghan faced a fear she could not hide. Without royal bloodlines to pass on, what truly made her different from any other celebrity living in California? Don't miss our next report. Subscribe to Royal Report Daily now. For Meghan, the problems in royal protocol threatened her brand. But for Harry, this was something deeply personal. This was about blood. Sources close to the palace whisper about late nights, when Harry would pick up the phone and call back to the very family he had walked away from. His voice was not calm. It was not polished. It was emotional and desperate. He begged them to reconsider. He begged for his children's future to be permanently written into the royal record. Those who know Harry say he truly believed he could live as both the son who had stepped away and the father of children who were still fully royal. He thought stepping back from his royal duties would never erase his children's place in the bloodline. He believed Archie and Lilibet would still carry the Windsor name forward, no matter how far California felt from the streets of London. But every time he tried to explain himself, every time he tried to make his case, the response he received was ice cold. One palace source reportedly reduced all of his pleading down to a single sentence. This is not about emotion. This is about order, lineage, and the future of the crown. For Harry, it felt like watching the floor disappear from under his feet. He was not just separated from his father and brother anymore. He was now a prince whose own children were being quietly removed from the very institution that had given him his entire sense of who he was. Royal Report Daily, your source for the truth behind the headlines. And then came the move itself. Archie and Lilibet would lose